Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring a technology that has absolutely reached a generational inflection point. We are talking about the generative AI business revolution. Whether you're an executive, an engineer, or a product manager, you've probably felt the ground shifting beneath your feet over the last couple of years, right? Well, we are officially moving way beyond the experimental phase. Generative AI is completely transforming daily business operations, fundamentally changing how we make decisions, and, quite frankly, reshaping the entire future of work. So, how exactly is it doing that? And more importantly, how can you leverage it? Let's find out. $4.4 trillion. Yep, you heard that right. According to extensive research from McKinsey, that is what generative AI applications stand to add to the global economy annually. Just let that sink in for a second. This is a massive economic shift. It proves definitively that we're not just looking at a passing hype cycle or some shiny new toy for the IT department. No, this is a fundamental rewiring of productivity and value creation across literally every single industry. But to capture a piece of that prize, we first need to thoroughly understand the tool we're actually working with. Section 1. Decoding generative AI. We are looking at how this goes way beyond traditional automation. So, for years now, businesses have used predictive or traditional AI. Predictive AI is kind of like a highly advanced forecaster. It focuses heavily on pattern recognition, classifying data, and forecasting outcomes based on historical records. It's fantastic for automating rule-based processes, but generative AI, it does something entirely different. It acts much more like a digital creator or a highly capable coworker. Instead of just analyzing existing data to make a prediction, it actually generates net new content. We're talking text, software code, images, audio, all based on the complex patterns it's learned. It doesn't just read the map, it actually draws an entirely new one for you. Now, you might be wondering, what actually powers this digital creator? Well, the engine running under the hood is known as a foundation model. Without getting too deep into the weeds here, these are large-scale machine learning models trained on vast quantities of unlabeled data. Essentially, they've read the entire internet. Large language models, or LLMs, are a prime example of this. Through complex parameters and fine-tuning, these models learn the fundamental structure of language, code, or images. So when you give them a prompt, they use probability to predict and generate the most contextually relevant output. It's honestly like giving a highly educated assistant a starting sentence and just watching them autonomously write the rest of the research paper. Section 2. High-impact business workflows. Now, what's really interesting here is how we actually put GenAI to work. Let's demystify this technology a bit by breaking it down into a practical, four-step, real-world workflow. This is how generative AI actually integrates into your daily enterprise operations. Step 1 is the prompt. A human user or an automated system provides a specific instruction. Step 2 is the model, where our LLM engine processes that input, applying all its learned context to predict the best possible response. Step 3 is the output, which could be anything from a block of Python code to a drafted marketing email or a synthesized data report. And finally, step 4 is absolutely crucial, the business action. This is where a human reviews the output and applies it to drive tangible value. This simple workflow is taking manual, hours-long processes and turning them into incredibly fast, data-driven cycles. Let's see how this builds into an actual enterprise scenario. Imagine a user submits this prompt. Can you summarize our Q3 customer feedback and generate a draft response for the support team? This perfectly demonstrates a high-impact use case. Because instead of a support manager spending 3 days reading hundreds of survey responses, an internal GenAI copilot instantly processes those documents, identifies the core themes, and drafts a professional, empathetic response in seconds. It handles all that heavy lifting of document processing, completely freeing up the human worker to focus on high-level strategy and complex problem-solving. But to facilitate that kind of seamless interaction, organizations have to build out a robust GenAI ecosystem behind the scenes. At the top layer, you've got the foundation models themselves. Businesses can choose between proprietary models like OpenAI's GPT-4 or open source models like Meta's Llama. But here's the catch. An off-the-shelf model doesn't know your company's secrets. That's why the second layer, data and context, is so incredibly vital. Using vector databases and techniques like retrieval-augmented generation, companies securely connect these models to their own proprietary data. Finally, the integration layer uses orchestration tools and agentic AI frameworks to plug these capable models directly into your existing software and APIs. That's what allows them to actually execute tasks across your systems. Section 3. The watch out. We need to take a serious look at the risks and limitations. Scaling this tech requires extreme caution because the sobering reality is that the risks are very real. First up, we have hallucinations.
Because these models are essentially just predicting the next most likely word, they can sometimes confidently make up facts. They deliver outputs that sound extremely convincing but are literally completely wrong. Second is data leakage, and this is a massive threat. If your employees feed proprietary company code or sensitive customer info into a public model, that IP could be absorbed and exposed to the world. And finally, governance challenges. These models are often black boxes, which makes it really hard to track transparency, explainability, and attribution for how they arrived at a specific decision. Section 4. The how-to. So the crucial point is, how do we do this safely? Let's cover some best practices for enterprise adoption. Boston Consulting Group brilliantly points out that top-performing organizations follow the 10-20-70 principle. That's 10% algorithms, 20% data and tech, and 70% people and processes. Think about that for a second. It illustrates that the biggest hurdle to generative AI success isn't actually the technology at all. It's change management. To succeed, you have to establish clear evaluation metrics and secure deployment guardrails from day one. You must invest heavily in prompt design training for your workforce. And most importantly, you absolutely need to establish human-in-the-loop processes. AI shouldn't be making the final critical decision. It should present the best options for a human expert to review and approve. When you focus 70% of your effort on how people actually use the tool, that's when you unlock its true potential. We are definitely no longer asking if generative AI will change business. We're asking how fast you can adapt to it. I highly encourage you to actively explore GenAI adoption strategies, prioritize your high-value use cases, and be sure to follow INI8 Labs for more insights on building secure enterprise solutions today. The productivity gains, the accelerated research, the perfectly optimized workflows, they are all out there waiting to be captured in this $4.4 trillion revolution. So the only question left is, will you be the one to lead the disruption or the one being disrupted?